On the homework, questions on the homework on, lost my book.
No,
None on the homework? Was it that easy?
I just want to get the notes.
No questions on the homework? How about questions on the quiz?
It was easy.
It was easy? Even, what was it?
It was 19.
17 through 19, weren't those a little more difficult?
Yeah, do one of those.
Give me one of those. Somebody tell me what it is.
19.
What's the problem? Yeah, 14.35.
19 was what?
14.35.
14.35, and that's in decimal form, is that what they told you? And you want to put it into percent and a fraction? Is that right?
Fraction and the lowest power.
Or is it just a fraction?
Just a fraction.
Oh, just a fraction? I thought this one that asked you to do it twice. Anytime you're changing something into a fraction, number one, every one of your calculators has some kind of button on it that you can use. If I grab one of my calculators here, I got one of the TI-30s here. If I have a decimal and I want to change it to the fraction, mine has, let's see here, gotta find the button on here. This one has this button on it, F, then it's got an arrow, and it's got an arrow, and it's got a D on it. All right? Some of the others, the big calculators, what you'd have to do, and I'll explain that here in a minute, but let's do this one first. So if I put in this number, 14.35, and I hit that button, on my calculator I actually have to hit second first. Oops, I hit the wrong button. I hit that, stupid. Punch in something else. 14.35. Gotta get it out of the light because I can't see it. Second, and I hit that button, it pops up and it looks like this on my calculator screen. 14.35, and then it's got that. I should have just wrote it up here. 14.35, and then that pops up. And that's telling the calculator if it's a fraction, we want to change it to a decimal. If it's a decimal, we want to change it to a fraction. So it sees that it's a decimal, and it knows that I want to change it to a fraction, and it pops me up something that looks like this. Does anybody know what that means? 14 and 7/20. Now, if you didn't know how to do that using the calculator, or if you couldn't use it, use the calculator doing it for whatever reason, and we're just going to change it to a fraction, thing I would do, number one, this is our whole number, so that's going to stay the same. That's going to stay 14. This, you count the places here. This is the tenths place, that's the hundredths place. So I take that number, 35, and since the 5's in the hundredths, I put it over 100. If I had another number like this, a 2 on there, I put 352 on top instead of 100 on bottom. What would I put? 1,000. So on, so on, so on. And then you try to reduce that down. What's a number that'll go into both 35 and 100? 5. 5 will go into 35 how many times? 5 will go into 100 how many times? Gives you the same answer. If you have one of the big calculators, on the big calculator, what you do is you punch in this number, 14.35, and you hit the math button. As soon as you hit the math button, it pops up another screen, and the very first thing it says is fraction. So you hit enter. Now on the big calculator, some of them will give you an answer that looks like this. Some of them will give you just an improper fraction. So it depends. The newer ones give you that actual answer. The older ones give the improper fraction, or maybe it's, I can't remember, one or the other. So if I'm looking at, like when I look at Breeze, she's got one of the older big calculators. It probably gives the answer like this. Does it? Gives the improper fraction. So I was wrong, so I had it backwards. So it gives the improper fraction. So it would give something like 287 over 20.
Wait, so would you count both of those right, or just
I would probably count this right, but then I would probably tell you, like your fourth grade teacher did, that no, that's an improper fraction, you can't leave it that way. You remember your fourth grade teacher doing that? So you need to take 20, divide it into that. All right, we're just gonna take 287 divided by 20. 20 will go into 28 once. 20, subtract, that's 87. My pen not writing down there. They'll go in there 4 times. I'll write that 87 up here. 4 times 20 is 80. You got 7 left over. When you write this, that's your whole number. That's your numerator. You just go around in a circle. Whole number, numerator, denominator.
You need tissue.
Where's someone? So let's do one. Let's see, let me go on to the next slide. So if I gave you some improper fraction, 235 over 13, just so I know it doesn't go in there evenly. You divide it, if you have to divide it out longhand, 13 will go into 23 once, put a 1 up there. 13 will go into 105, 6 times that, 7, 21, probably about 7 times. That'd be 21. Ain't doing that. Be 8. 8 times that's 4. That's 8, 10. That's 104. Subtract, we get 1. This is our whole number. That's our numerator. That's our denominator. So it'd be 18 and 1 over 13. Now again, the calculators do a lot of that for you now, if you can read the calculator correctly. And the old calculators, the old big calculators, give you the improper fraction because they're more set up for algebra. If I'm dealing with some kind of algebra problem, I don't want 18 and 1/13. I want this because it's easier to deal with in algebra this way. If we're dealing with some kind of real world problem like we're dealing with in here, we probably want it this way. Because that makes more sense than that. 18 and 1/13 makes more sense than that. Like earlier in the year we had 7 1/3% sometimes. That makes more sense than 22/3%. Even though those are the same numbers, that one's in a better form for what we need it for. Other questions? All right, there's today's notes. Test on Tuesday. Write down these notes, we'll go over a little bit. And then I'll give you the assignment. So Dalton wasn't hurt at all? I don't think so. I'm just wondering how long he's gonna milk this for. Week? Should we everybody throw in $1 and
I'll throw start a poll. I'll throw in
Noah makes money off of this.
We should get a calendar out, put $1 on what day we think he's gonna come back.
I know, that's what I was saying, but the bad thing is Mike will be texting me, gotta come back on this day, gotta come back on this day, so I'm not,
He's gambling idea.
I'm not giving away my $1, just for you
Noah
to cheat.
Beckley won this like 4 times. So that's good.
I'm just confused where you read from El Dorado.
This is cool. Lots of places if you're going too fast, because there's lots of dumb back roads that.
227.
Huh?
227 with all the gold. Yeah. Have you ever been back on those hills near why can't I think of the name? State Park over there. Why can't I remember the name of the state park over there?
Eastland Miller?
Huh?
Houston Woods.
Houston Woods, yeah, you've been on the roads back there. Some of those roads are crazy. 'Cause I was driving back there and randomly came across some hills. I was like, whoa, it's like you can't see what's coming on the other side. The hills are crazy. They're like, there could be like a cow at the bottom of the hill or something. You never know. You just
Okay, so not too long ago.
That's why all the speed limits in there are
Yeah,
like
30.
15 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, I was driving. I was like 10 o'clock at night, and I was on a back road, and there was the cows in the middle of the road, and they wouldn't move.
My, my son just got his license, and I've already rode with him once since he got his license. And the time I rode with him, he hit a deer.
Oh, wow.
Because there's always, in between their school and our house, there's like 3 places where every time you go through there, I'm not exaggerating at all, every time you go through there, you see 5 or 6 deer. Every single time. I mean, those deer are right there in that area every single time. And it scared the heck out of him because there's like 6 of them and he seen them.
Yeah.
And so he started to slow down and the deer stopped.
And they ran right into it.
And right.
That's what happened to me too, because like I'm usually always cautious for deer at night, but the one night I just totally forgot about deer, like they even exist or something. And freaking, I was speeding a little bit. I came around a turn. There's 5 deer in the middle of the road. They're all like on the right side, so I tried to go left to go around. And the 4 deer run that way, and then 1 deer comes back this way, and I nailed. Well, like,
That's
at least
what
30.
happened. That one deer ran out. The rest of them ran the other direction, and that one decided to come out. And when he hit it, and the deer got into the middle of the road and just stopped. And when he hit it, I mean, he probably hit it going about that fast. But it's, he hadn't had his license very long, and like I said, it was the first time I had ridden with him.
What did you do?
And he like went like this and then took off.
See, the deer I hit went flying, so it's literally, if I was going fast. I mean, that was when I first got my license too. And
He wasn't going fast, but it scared the crap out of him. What should I do?
like, yeah, I felt so bad because the deer literally, when I said it went flying, started hitting trees and stuff. Like, it was calm.
Yeah, I was happy because he hit it that way and it scared the crap out of him. Well, now he drives cautious.
That had to be worse.
We got out and looked at the front of the car. There wasn't any fur or anything on the front. I mean, it wasn't a dent, scratch, nothing on the front of the car where it hit it because he just hit it so easy. I mean, it would be like one of your buddies
Barely tapping into you. Yeah.
tapping into you with their car or something when you're just standing there not paying attention or something. But it scared the heck out of him.
My grandpa was
Wow,
scared
dude.
of the truck and then the deer like it obliterated the deer. It was crazy. He's got a big GMC, Sierra. It was like
I've seen some bad
parts of people that deer. They like told his cars.
I was worse, dude.
All right, I told you last time. What do you know about this test?
It's gonna be hard.
It's gonna be hard.
Deer everything.
Is there like a review packet?
Yep, I'm gonna give that to you here in a minute. So on this test, it's gonna be hard.
Hard. Hard at that time.
Be able to find sales tax. Remember, with sales tax, one of the things that you might want to jot down there, with sales tax, you have a state sales tax. Then sometimes, we don't have it here, so we don't have to worry about it. But sometimes there's also what other kind of sales tax added in there? County or city. So you might have county, you might have state, you might have county, you might have city sales tax.
And you can have all 3. couldn't you?
Right, and what you do with those is add the percentages first, then worry about doing the multiplying.
That's what I was
All right, so when it's that way, you can add them all up, then worry about doing the multiplying. I don't think I put anything on the test where you have to go through the products and decide, okay, is this taxable? Is this not taxable? I didn't put anything like that. So if there's a problem that's dealing with sales tax, everything in the problem's taxable. All right? Be able to find out the total price. We did that a couple times throughout the chapter. If you're doing sales tax, how do you find the total price? You add the sales tax to whatever the total was for the items that you purchased. Be able to find unit price. Anybody remember how to do a unit price?
Just divide the price by the number of
By the number of
whatever.
units.
Yeah.
All right, so you take price divided by the number of units. If we're talking about gallons, then you just say it's going to be this much per gallon. If we're talking about ounces or boards or whatever, this much per ounce, this much per board. Be able to decide the best buy. Lots of different ways to decide the best buy. One of them that we did was by finding the unit price and seeing which unit price was better. I know that when we were going over that, I said, okay, just because this one has the best unit price, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best buy. Because if you're going to have to buy 1,000 of something, and that's the best price, and you're only going to use 2 of them, then it's probably not a good buy. But on the test, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know your opinion. I want to know mathematically which is the best buy. Does that make sense?
It's like the 50-pound dog food bag.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't buy it because I don't have a dog.
Right. So I don't want to know, you know, if they say, hey, you got a 20-pound dog food bag and you got a 10,000-pound dog food bag, and I don't want to know that Bree says, well, I'm not going to buy the 10,000 because that's too much dog food. I'm not going to keep that around my house.
Yeah, let's get it.
All I want to know is mathematically which one is the best buy. Does that make sense?
That's 5 tons of dog food.
Calculate price after a coupon or a rebate. So be able to calculate how much you paid for the item after a coupon or after the rebate. A rebate normally you'd have to get back afterwards, so it's not really the same as a coupon, but this book sort of put them together. Be able to calculate how much a markdown is. Remember, that was a lot of times dealing with percents. I will guarantee you, I don't remember if our homework for markdowns had any, but I'll guarantee you there's a problem on the test that gives you a fraction as the markdown. So it might say half off. Well, then you need to know that 1/2 is what? At 50%, and then do it that way. Be able to find the sale price. How do you find the sale price if there's a markdown?
Just
Times it.
Close. You could do it 2 different ways, right? And I tried to take all this off test. Now that I think about it, I might have forgot to change a couple of the questions. Because some of the questions, again, with sale price, they said use this method or use this method. I don't care which method you use, just find me the sale price, all right? The method that I learned to use was if it was something that was 10% off and the item was $3.40, just making up numbers here. I take the 10%, 0.10, times the 340, get that answer, then what do you do with that answer? Add it.
Minus it.
You minus it from the 340, and that gives you the sale
I
price.
thought you were talking about the.
All right. Now, is that the way you have to do it? No, the other way you could have done it, and I'll tell this way, because I caught myself on a lot of the problems last time when I made that assignment and I was up there doing it, I caught myself doing it the other way. The other way to do it is if it's 10% off, then what percentage are you going to pay? 90. So the other way to do it is take 100% minus your percent off, then take that percentage, 0.90, times that, and that gives you the sale price. So you do whichever way is easiest for you, all right? Again, I found myself doing it this way on a lot of the questions in the book, even though that's not the way I normally do stuff, because the way they worded their question, that way was easier. Be able to find the final cost. We calculate the markdown. We find the sale price. What else might there be?
Taxes.
You might have to add in the tax and stuff, and so be able to find the final cost for no matter what I throw in there. Might have to add the tax in. If If they don't tell you anything about there's tax on it, then you don't worry about that. There's that, let's just look into that.
Why is it backwards?
On this worksheet, if you get started working on it, I'll try to help you with it if you got questions.
Carlota Rodriguez.
Don't ask me any questions for like the first 10 minutes though, because if you're asking me
Wait, what was
questions,
someone?
yeah, if you're asking me questions in the first 10 minutes, then that makes me think that you just want me to do your work for you and not actually trying.
Well, maybe you're right.
Michael, that's sort of a dumb statement you just said. Maybe I'm right. What's my name? What's my
Slim
name?
Shady.
What's my name?
Walter White.
You know what my name is. Once I tell you,
They're on
you know I'm right. So start on it, I'll help you. After about 10 minutes, be careful because they're mixed in. I know it says multiple choice, but what do you notice about number one?
It's not multiple.
It's not multiple choice.
Let's make our own multiple choice.
Yeah, just tell me the tax on, if you add them together, and find the total tax. Yep.
Bro, that sounds like my senior
This is
class.
the day of our test.
And proposal.
Is that next week?
Dang.
Come in and get it done.
Let me know when you're catching up.
Well, I have to.
I'll take a little bit more time.
Yeah, well, me like we can't, we're all pretty behind.
Oh, the other thing I was gonna say,
Miss Martin doesn't-
there is, there's like 51 questions on this. You have to do at least 40 of them. And this is gonna count, if you look in the grade, in your grade book, most homeworks count 10 points. This is gonna count 20. Usually I count the review packets as double because it's a little more work. So this counts as 20 points. If you don't do it, you know, it's like missing how many homework assignments? Those.
What if I just do 2 homework assignments? And I'm back to where I was.
And you're back to that 50, which 50 is what grade?
He's thinking.
I don't know.
50 is not a grade that I would hope that a senior wants in a class that they have to have to
Graduate.
graduate.
I don't know. We're gonna pull that card.